Hi guys, so you might have seen in quite a few of my recent videos, yeah, I've been using a sort of a smoke machine to get some nice little visual effects of my newly painted, well, figures, and in some cases some of the terrain. And yeah, absolutely love this fog machine. Quite a few of you guys have asked to sort of see how I've made one, on what I use. So yeah, so this video I'm going to show you how I made my little fog machine. So I've got it all contained in this nice sort of little box, and I've done it with a USB lead for the power, so it can easily be plugged in anywhere. And then yeah, just a little button on the side, and simple as that. Push the button and away she goes. And yeah, it comes out really well. The fog's reasonably sort of like thick and heavy, so it does sort of settle quite a bit, which is pretty cool, and doesn't just sort of like fly away, well, straight away. And yeah, the effect it gives is perfect. Apologies about the video, not too sure why it's having its little crackly moments, but you can kind of see what's going on. And obviously, when it does run out, it's just a simple case of, well, chucking some more in there and taking more pictures or video, which is obviously what I'm using it for. And yeah, I must admit, I absolutely love it, and you probably will see this in pretty much all the videos I do. So it's a very simple sort of device, and before I encased it in my little 3D printed box, yeah, it's this, simply a vape pen. And as you can see, I've got a little tube glued to one of the holes on it, and there's some tape going around the other holes that are on it. And then I've got this, which is one of these little fish tank water bubbly doobry whatsits. And yeah, it is just a simple case of turning the pen on. Well, I say a simple case. In this one, you got to like click it about 5 times for it to come on, and then you push it. So that's kind of why I sort of took it apart and yeah, put it in a box. So yeah, nice and simple, comes out great. But as I say, a bit awkward because obviously you've got 2 separate bits, both requiring their own power. And I say this pen thing, it stays on for about, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute and then turns off. And then you've got to go through the whole rigmarole of pushing that button 5 times to sort of restart it. So my plan is to obviously get rid of that, the bottom bit, which is basically just a battery. But it is a rechargeable one. So my first thinkings were, can I get the battery out just so I can make this portable so it can be recharged? So that was my first thinking. But as you see, it doesn't quite end up that way. So when I am making this sort of thing or doing a lot of stuff, quite often I have a rough plan, but not a whole plan. And say this one was definitely a rough plan, and my plan was to be able to try and get out the rechargeable battery that's obviously inside this. Yeah, it didn't work too well. I think the other reason it didn't work too well is because this portable battery has obviously this little, well, not microchip, but it was like a little circuit board attached to it. And I'm not sure if I cut into that or cut into something. But long story short, as I am waffling here, yeah, I gave up on that idea because I kind of ruined the battery inside, and then thought, well, let's just take the whole thing off, and yeah, we're going to connect this and obviously the little air pump together, so then there is just the one sort of power source, which obviously makes things a whole lot easier. So again, sometimes you have these plans, you start making something, and then, well, things change. And I say, this is that microchip board, what's it? Yeah, so I gave up on that idea, but it would have been nice if I could have had a rechargeable battery inside the box, just so obviously the box wouldn't have to be plugged into anything. So my other thinking was I wanted to have like a hose at the front, just to make it easier to sort of like poke it into areas, just to get the smoke sort of go in there. So that's why I took off that end little bit, which obviously is the bit you well, you suck on. Not that I'd know because I don't vape, smoke, or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, some more of the tube and just glue that to the front, just to make it easier. I say, just to sort of poke it in areas where I want there to be sort of smoke, fog, and all the rest of it. There are links in the description, guys, to where you can get the parts that I used. Relatively cheap. I think the whole thing, I don't know, I think it's about 20 quid-ish, give or take. Can't remember, to be honest. I know it wasn't too much. It was a lot cheaper than buying one of those big fog machines. And obviously, well, I didn't want a big fog machine because obviously they wouldn't sit on my desk, and it would probably produce far too much smoke. And I know sometimes even with this, I do produce probably more smoke than I need, and sometimes you just can't see anything. So because I wanted to stick this into a box, that's why I'm taking off the little sort of rubbery black casing on this thing. Just because I wanted it to be as sort of small as it could be, so it would fit in the box. Although the box I actually do end up making, I am thinking about making a smaller one. So I went on Thingiverse and got the basic sort of box from there. But then I did make a few adjustments to it. I put some holes in it and a little sort of centre bit to hold a few gubbins. If I can try and share the STL that I finally made, I will, but I'm not too sure how I can do that at the moment. And then, yeah, using my Anycubic Vyper to 3D print the thing. Yeah, it's one of the sort of great little print of this. Had it about a month or so, and used it quite a bit, and yeah, absolutely love it. And I must admit, this machine is pretty quiet. Yeah, it's a whole lot quieter than the other sort of filament ones that I've used. And yeah, absolutely love this. So this did the box. I can't remember exactly how long it took. I think it was a couple of hours. Again, quite often when I'm printing on these sort of printers, I do have them on the lowest setting or quality setting going, just to make it quicker. Because sometimes you can do a file, stick it on this, and it says it's going to take like a day or two to make. And it's like, well, that's just nuts. I haven't got that long to wait. So yeah, sometimes I do forgo the quality just for the speed. But even at low quality, yeah, you still get a decent looking box. And yeah, very pleased about how that looks. So there's a couple of little slots in the middle there, just to sort of hold onto, well, both the vape pen and the water blowy air thingy. What's it? You know what I mean. Yeah, so the good thing about doing the box how I wanted it is I've put some holes in already prior to obviously printing. So I printed it with the holes rather than me have to sort of mess about. And then yeah, got a little on-off switch. Say very simple on-off switch. I do like to make things simple as possible. So both simply to make and simple to use. Yeah, so again guys, everything you see coming up is obviously, well, me fumbling my way through doing this. So this isn't maybe the best technique, but this is obviously what got me to making something that does actually work. So again, for any sort of people out there who are, well, electricians or anything to do with wiring, yeah, please forgive what you're about to see, because it is a bit of a hash job every now and then. Even though my first ever job, I was an apprentice, or did an apprenticeship in can't even talk because I've still got a cold. Sorry guys. I did an apprenticeship in electrical and mechanical engineering. So yeah, I used to do quite a lot of soldering and sort of wiring and all that kind of stuff. But that was a good 35 years ago. And again, I haven't obviously got all the right tools. As you can see by me using the scalpel to remove the what's it from the wires. Again, I know anyone watching this who's into wiring is going to be looking at this and crying. So yeah, again, apologies. This is me, well, fumbling my way through, like I say. And again, sometimes I haven't got the tools, so it is a case of using what I've got, which isn't necessarily always the right tool. But I did go out and buy, well, I didn't go out, I bought it on Amazon, a soldering iron. Unfortunately, this is where sometimes cheaper isn't better, as I did buy the cheapest soldering iron I could find, and this baby was only about £10. It came with a stand, it came with some solder, I think it came with some pliers, it came with a few bits and pieces, and I say it was £10. And as you can see, yeah, it's not really melting the solder very quickly. In fact, I had to hold it there for so long. I even contemplated, this is how bad it got, I contemplated getting out some glue and just gluing the wires to the places. But I thought, no, I'll persevere. I'll get there in the end. I bought a soldering iron. I'm going to use a soldering iron. But yeah, this thing did take, I mean, this would have taken, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes tops to do. I think I was messing about overall for about an hour, maybe two, just because, yeah, things were going a tad slow. While I continue to fumble my way through, so I want to say a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons for helping sponsor this this channel, as well as obviously my sponsors, Easy Roll of Dice and Anycubic. Yeah, much appreciated, guys. Because say obviously this kind of hobby isn't cheap, and yeah, I like to try out new things every now and then. So with these guys helps, I can buy new bits and pieces to try out things. I say I possibly should have bought a better soldering iron, but the other problem I've got is obviously the chances of me ever using one again are incredibly slim. So that's why I thought if I go for a cheap one, even if it only survived and lasted long enough to do this job, then that'd be fine. But yeah, the problem with the cheap one is it took forever to actually melt the solder. But hey ho, we solder on. Haha, boom boom, get it? Yeah, so I did finally get everything wired together. So basically, I'm going to put a little diagram up in a minute showing, well, the wiring for this. So very simple wiring. It's basically power coming in, one bit going to the switch, and then the other bit going to the vape machine, and then the vape and the little air pump being connected. And yeah, simple as really. Okay, so I probably didn't really explain it all too well then, so we'll have another go, and this time I'm going to try and draw it. Whether or not this will come out any easier to explain, but basically you got the power coming in, and obviously you got obviously that's a box, so it's inside the box. Obviously the two wires inside the power, and then we've got a little switch over here, and then I think I've taken the positive line from the power that's coming in, go to the switch, and then we can have the other line coming out from the switch, and obviously we're going to have the air pump inside the box, and we'll just put pump on that, and we've also got the vape machine. So obviously we're going to power them both from the one lead or one power coming in. So the other lead that's coming off from the switch, we need to break that into two. So one bit goes to the vape and one bit goes to the pump, and the same again with the negative side that's coming from the power, that gets split into two, and one bit goes to the pump and one bit goes to the vape. So then obviously the switch, when it's off, there's no connection, but when it's on, obviously it connects. And then we've got the tube going from the pump to the vape machine, and a tube coming out of the vape machine, which is obviously coming out of the box, so the smoke comes out. I hope that makes sense. It kind of does in my head. Ta-da! Fingers crossed you get what I've said. So by no means it's the prettiest of looking jobs, but it does get the job done. Again, look away if you're an electrician or wirer or any of that kind of thing, because yeah, I have just used tape to tape up connections and all sorts. Again, if I had the right tools, I would have done a nicer job, because I kind of know what to do. I just didn't have the tools, and that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's kind of like, hopefully you've got the gist of how to make one of these. So it's basically just a vape pen and an air blower, and obviously some power. And yeah, nice simple little fog smoke machine that you can use whenever you want to sort of take pictures of your miniatures or videos, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, absolutely love it. If you have enjoyed the video, guys, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave some comments, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, that's it. Bye for now.